Sophie?
Hi, is English okay?
Yes.
Hi, I have a problem with some severe domestic abuse,
Yes.
psychological, emotional, and financial, and I really don't know what to do. I've tried.
Okay.
I'm a torture survivor. I just before COVID, I was subjected to severe police brutality in Ireland, and some human rights activists helped me return to Finland. I
Yeah.
was sexually assaulted at gunpoint and false imprisoned. They actually falsely imprisoned me by telling a hospital in Ireland that my time in Finland didn't happen, and I was able to secure my release by basically showing my Finnish ID and proving I lived in Finland.
Okay.
And when I came back here, I had a landlord. Sorry that this is like this, but you need the context. I had a landlord who discovered I was non-binary, queer and disabled, and started a illegal court eviction, filed a false statement to court. He knew the judge, and the judge got me banned from legal aid. I know it sounds unbelievable, but I had a friend of 24 years who was also a psychologist. They're not my psychologists, they never were. And we fell into a relationship, and they said they were going to help me with the court stuff. I asked them to make sure that they put it through the legal aid so that they got paid, and it wasn't like free help, it was work.
Yeah.
And over the ensuing year, I became they gained increasing sort of control over all aspects of my life via limited powers of attorney and such. And we had a loan agreement whereby I got I transferred first part and then all of my toimeentuki as I was waiting for a disability.
Yeah.
Which got delayed as my landlord appears to have had a contact in Kella to help him with what he was doing. I know this sounds unbelievable, but I have evidence of all of this.
Yeah.
And sorry, one second, my phone is just falling out of the charger. Let's see, yeah, it's working. And where was I? Oh, so in return for transferring all of my welfare to them, they were supposed to take a sort of a joint loan in their name, and that was supposed to pay for 12 months of my storage unit in Ireland, which is the last of my belongings that the police didn't destroy. In creative work, legal documents, and it's incredibly important to me. And like a daily allowance, and they began using that like punitively, and they told me that the loan had now changed the power structure in the relationship, and they intended to use it like that, and they would punish me by withholding the daily allowance and starve me, and telling me this. Then they started getting increasingly gaslighting me, like they tell me things that happened to me that they weren't there for, like say earlier in the week, that didn't happen, or that I had imagined them. They started invalidating the abuse and trauma, telling me I didn't understand it. Constantly kind of playing devil's advocate for my abusers, which was really distressing.
This happened in Ireland?
This happened in Helsinki when I came back, and this happened this Christmas. I don't actually currently understand why this happened, because when we got in the relationship, I thought maybe I was going to be safe.
Yeah.
And
so do you live together?
No, we didn't. Because of the landlord. The landlord actually was so wealthy and well connected in Finland that he was able to pay to have Helsinki Police assault me in October. I started to get slightly suspicious of what was going on in the relationship, because it was starting to trigger a lot of PTSD stuff with abuse, which doesn't, that's not that common. There was a point where she told me I had no right to want a life that wasn't defined by my child abuse, and to want that was narcissistic. And she'd had heard audio of my female parent admitting abuse, and she incidentally quoted it in tone and word I don't know, to cause distress, and then told me later that she didn't do it, and tried to make me doubt that it had happened. I then tried to, when I went over it and showed that it had happened, she, then was like, but that, I mean, that's common words, that's probably happened before. And I was like, no, that's actually the very first time that's been triggered ever. No one's ever managed to do that in tone and word for word. That's actually, like, you're completely unique there. I don't know how you did it. I'm assuming you did it on purpose. And she's like, well, if I did, it was an accident. That, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I was having trouble getting medical treatment through the year. I had I don't know exactly where this got on my file, but on my file, I discovered only about a couple of weeks ago that there was something about alcohol abuse on my file. And I had, in the previous year, due to the stress of trying to get legal representation for it, I had developed chronic shingles, and I got her post-herpetic nerve pain. And I got prescribed stuff that caused me injury. And I was supposed to take a malpractice complaint against that, but she seemed to be blocking it. And I don't know whether this thing about the abuse, alcohol abuse, appeared from that, or there was another point a little later in the day. Someone spiked my drink, and I ended up. I woke up in Passila. I have a photo of the spiked drink. It was because it was foaming.
Okay.
And so, like, but she never told me that was there. So I would go in for I had a couple of accidents, and I would go in to try to get treatment, and I would get verbal abuse from doctors for being drunk, and I wouldn't be, and I'd be like, what's going on? And she'd be like, I don't know. So she was literally taking me in to sit and watch me get wrong treatment, and not say anything.
Okay.
And it's just really weird. Like, we were in a car accident then in August where we got rear-ended. Allegedly the other driver's fault, but she wouldn't call the police, and I'm the only one that was injured, and I was like in immediate pain, and I was like, I think we need to go to the doctor. I'm in pain. I have a very increasing pain in my neck, and she's like, no, and can you wait? It can wait. And then it turned out that I had 3 herniated discs in my neck.
Okay.
And like this is some of the weird stuff. Like I had a scooter accident because I'm clumsy with ADHD, and I had a head injury, and I was in Hartman, and I had brought her with me because the abuse by doctors was getting quite intense, and she sat there, and I was getting quite verbally abused by the woman doctor, and she was like, and is there anything else? And I went, like, I think my teeth, like somewhere, I hit my face, and the woman doctor just went, let's see, open up, and I opened my mouth, and instead of like looking in, she shoved her hand in my mouth and pulled on my teeth. And even she shoved her hand in my mouth and pulled on my teeth, and went, no, they're not broken. And like, Anna said nothing, and I was like, why didn't you say something? And she's like, I was waiting for you to react. And I said, I was in shock.
Yeah.
And so, like, I didn't get any treatment, and then I had to go privately or like on my own without her to Kalasatama. And when I told the dentist what happened, the dentist was like, she actually winced, and she said, why would she do that? If your teeth had been cracked, she would have ripped them out. I was like, she said, what did you do? I said, I stood there in shock. What else would you do? Someone's like literally yanked on your teeth. And she's like, what did your partner do? She said nothing.
Okay.
And the dentist was like, that's weird. And I was like, which part? She goes, why didn't your partner say something? I said, did she not even like squeal? I would have squealed. And I was like, no, she literally just stared.
Okay.
I don't know. And she was like, that's weird. You need to think about that. And I was like, so that sort of stuff. And like I had become completely dependent on the person. Yeah. I'd now look like I got them into court to help me with the landlord because she had a phone recording. Allegedly had more than three, but seems to have destroyed one. But she had another phone recording of the landlord admitting to her that it was all based on discrimination. And
Okay, yeah.
and like she could have supplied that to the police at any point because it helped show that the whole thing was fraudulent, and didn't. And in court, when they was asked if she recorded, she said no. And then after court, I was like, why did you do that? Why can't you just tell them? And why can't you have to fix that? So like in the beginning, that might be accidental perjury, but that was in June, and she never fixed it. Never provided the information to the police. Never provided it to the non-discrimination board, and just watched all these people abuse me.
Yeah.
And
what is your situation now?
Right now, I am. She's my landlord. This is. Sorry, it's going to get a bit weirder. It looks like she might have been trying to sabotage the court case, and that's ongoing. And the landlord won, even though I have bank statements to show that he lied in his court application, and I now have Ulusatos after me for money I paid. So, and all this stress was going on, and as I said, the person, and sorry, I have to tell it linear because of the ADHD. The person who was helping the landlord in Kella, who would phone and demand that I went to the homeless shelter for the landlord. I put in a request because they kept saying that by law they had to help him, like, you know, they wouldn't recognise an informal contract, even though I had the original formal contract. I had the intention to sign a new one, and the money transfer, and him asking for the rent for the new period. And they refused to tell me the law, so I put a data response request in with the data protection to find out what law was forcing them. And in response, Kella, the person, whoever it is in the management in Kella, for the landlord, basically said they were going to reverse 4 years of my illness decisions and demand the money back.
Okay.
And I went in and I said, like, the only way you can do this is by a false accusation of fraud, because I haven't done it. Like, so they don't, like, how are you going to claim money back you gave me by mistake if it's illness money, except by accusing me of something? And the woman just went yes. And so within all of this, and like I have an audio recording of a legal aid person telling me the judge ordered that I get I'd be banned from legal aid. And so Anna also got me to rewrite the period with the cops. And while this was going on, she stepped up all this hot, cold abuse coming up to Christmas. What I described, the gaslighting, the 1 minute I love you, next minute you're not working hard enough. And I was working 17-hour days on legal documents that I shouldn't have been writing on my own. Rather than get me help, and this gets really weird, she put me in touch with one of her patients via telegram, and she swore me to secrecy. It told me that there was this patient who was heavily autistic, who was allegedly transgender, and suffering gender dysmorphia, but they were a doctoral law student, and I wasn't to tell anyone because they could lose their career, and they would help. And I got put in touch with this person who got quite abusive and started like changing the focus onto whether or not I should transition as a non-binary person, and it got incredibly weird. And then the communication ended. So rather than even help me get legal assistance, like this weird dead end with this weirdo who seems to have now reappeared and pretending to be my lawyer, pretending to be a lawyer interested in my case. At Christmas, then, out of the blue, for my storage unit, which they said they paid for 12 months, and you know, in return for this loan agreement that we did, she helped me get my apartment, which was damaged from the police raids during COVID, back in order. It rented it, released the equity, and she got €50,000. Now I'm also aware that during the course of this, she got put into a will, which where she stood to benefit from 500,000 if I died. And all of a sudden, when I was having to write this re-traumatization document that she was berating me during, I started getting these final notices for the storage unit, even though it was supposed to be paid for 12 months. And then very abruptly, about a week before Christmas, she just told me the deal is off. And
Your landlord?
No, this is my ex-partner who was also my landlord.
Yeah.
She told me the deal is off. She'll let me stay in the apartment. I still pay all of my side of the loan, and to try and rebuild my life, and basically goodbye. And I was like, but what do I do about the storage unit? I've been asking if you were gonna getting cold feet or something to give me a structured withdrawal. I'm gonna lose everything. And she's just basically like, not my problem. And I said, but we had a loan agreement. We were supposed to formalize it. What are you doing? And she's like, I wasn't. We never had that. What do you think? What do you do? You're imagining things. I was just helping you. And I was like, but that's not true. I have like evidence. I have spreadsheets, everything. I've transferred. Yeah. And so, and she had like legal documents. She had property deeds to my apartment. She had been involved with dealing with welfare for me, and because a social worker there had been abusive, which meant that I didn't have a bed or winter clothes, and the social worker had routinely been very invalidating about my post-traumatic stress disorder. If I asked them to stop doing something because it was triggering, they'd go, no, it's not. So I eventually had to let Anna take it because it was becoming too distressing for me. And so Anna had got very angry with them, but that, I don't know what's going on there, but I know that because of Anna, I can't get any help from the social work now. Yeah. And Kella, whatever was going on with Kella, and the contact with the landlord, they advised me to sign a disability thing in, and then they held it up until December. I didn't find out till actually a couple of days ago that they refused the disability, even though I'm even more disabled after the car accident and I have the 3 discs. And Anna has forced me into this 3 months of begging her for my documents, both digital and physical. She started doing this too, where she'd ask me the same question: do you want them posted? Even though I'd asked for them to be posted. And she tried to force a physical meeting, and I was afraid. Before Christmas, I'd started to get really afraid of her temper, and she'd ask me questions, and I'm afraid to answer in case you lose your temper. Earlier in the year, I'd had to ask her to stop threatening me with violence, because it wasn't clear whether it was a joke or whether it was, and I said, I've been tortured, I've been beaten unconscious by cops, I've been beaten at gunpoint. I was like, I can't, you can't really do that at me, you can't raise your fist and threaten. I don't know when it's, you might trigger something. And
so what is your situation today?
I'm in the apartment that So she goaded me into cutting off my welfare at Christmas, because I was so stressed by what she was doing and the document that basically she made me kind of rewrite all of the terrible shit the police did to me, and that drove me into a crisis, and then forced me to illegal meetings I didn't want to go to with a and
do you have a threat now where you are
I do.
Right now?
And I was so stressed and worried by the Kella thing that she was berating me about it, that I was like, look, if you collapse the deal and I lose everything, and Kella, I can't handle this, why don't I just tell them to stop everything? And she was kind of...
What do you mean by that?
I just tell them to turn off my benefits. I wasn't really thinking straight. I was very distressed. And she was like, going, "Don't be a fucking idiot. They won't listen to you. They just think you're fucking mad and stupid, and they'll fucking ignore you." And I was.
Are you still in a relationship with your ex-partner, or is it an ex-partner?
I think it's ex. I mean, I don't know because I'm trapped. I'm pretty sure it's ex, but because I spent the last 3 months alternating between bursts of communication from them and silent treatment while I beg for my belongings back. They told the police that my begging for my belongings and a structured withdrawal was harassment. Then the police officer phoned. He just said what it was about, and then I started talking, and then he stopped talking about that, and he just spent the entire call begging me to come to Passila and file a police complaint against her. She's had me. She phoned in a false wellness check, and I don't know what she told them. But I spent an hour on the phone with them pleading because I've got such bad police trauma. But they smashed in my door, and they came in with dogs, riot shields, guns, and they.
Here in Helsinki.
Yeah, here in Helsinki. I have it recorded.
Okay.
They violently arrested me, even though I had my hands in the air, and I was sitting and I was saying, just repeating, "I can't move. I'm too scared. I can't move. I'm too scared." And they grabbed me by my spine injury, and I have broken my thumb since Christmas, and it's a very bad break. I was supposed to get emergency surgery, but I had to cancel it because I'm so stressed that I didn't think, and I have no money, and I'm not eating, and that I thought that I wouldn't be able to heal it.
Yeah.
But and because she has me in a case state of chronic distress. Every couple of days I have to file an email to my storage unit and tell them to update, and I had the police taunting me about the court case I had with I won against the Irish police, basically telling me it didn't happen, and then telling me this fantasy version about booby-trapped apartments and hidden knives, and I was like, well, none of that's true, and I won the case, and I don't know whether she told them, I don't know whether what she told them, and then they phoned one of the involved corrupt police officers. Like, I have video from my Irish neighbour's security camera of them torturing me. They caught them, and that's a particular incident where they left me with damage to my lower spine.
Yeah.
And so, like, I have court documents. It's all provable. And suddenly I have them, and she told them she refused or didn't tell the doctors, didn't tell the police that she was my ex-partner when she phoned in the wellness check. So she just told them a lie that she was my landlord.
Okay.
And like, I was like, the police were like, your landlord this, your landlord that, and I was like, but it's not just my landlord, that's my ex-partner who's like blockading my life right now. I filed 5 police complaints.
Yeah.
What's going on? And they were like, no, it's your landlord. See, this is why you have to come to hospital, you're delusional. I'm like, I'm not. And then when they got me...
Did I understand correctly that your ex-partner was lying that she was your landlord, but she's not actually...
She is my landlord, because during the previous landlord case, sorry, this is so convoluted, for whatever reason I couldn't get a place to live.
Okay.
And this area where I'm in is one of the only places I feel safe, because it's kind of like a little village in Helsinki.
Yeah.
It's just Ruoholahti, just behind Kamppi.
Yeah.
I've been here for a while. All the locals kind of know me. They smile at me. It's safe.
Mm-hmm.
And so, she rented a place for me as a sublet. I think, I don't know the full story, but it just appeared. It's a nice apartment. It wasn't nice before the police smashed the door in. And now that there's an unsurety of tenure there, and she's demanding I be homeless, having already said that I could stay. I've asked for her to help me resolve the chaos that was caused at Christmas, and that she covered the rent arrears, but she stopped asking for them. I don't know what's going on. And like she knew that like I would basically be starving at Christmas after that chaos, and that was had already happened. It happened just after a period where she starved me for 5 days to punish me for an argument.
Yeah.
And like there was times where I would feel forced to go to her home to cook for her and her children, because if I didn't, I would get punished. And punishment meant isolation and destitution.
Okay. Yeah.
And now, like, I first of all I tried in private to beg her to just like, I was like, just a structured patrol, you know, that you're so involved in everything that there's no, like, in the general atomic structure of my Finnish life at the moment, and there's no way you can just walk off. I need, like, I can't, I need the documents. She wouldn't give them. She started asking me again and again, should she post them? I would say yes, but then I never said yes the right way.
So you would need a new apartment.
I would need like a peace treaty. I don't have the ability to leave this apartment right now. Like, I don't have the psychological toughness.
Yeah.
I just need and like you know, she doesn't have to have anything to do with it as long as the rent is coming in. I just would need help returning on the stuff with Kella. Some of the stuff that I don't know where she left it, you know.
Yeah.
And
have you ever had a social worker who would help you with the Kela things?
No. That's the problem with where she left things with social work. I have a social worker who has like done nothing, has watched all of this. I've asked him for help, they've done nothing.
Okay.
And I don't know whether that's because Anna was fighting with them over their lack of care for me, because like she was like probably rightfully angry that every request that I put in that you know normal people would get, like a bed, help with a bed, they refused, and they sometimes refused for stupid reasons. Or they would refuse and say that I wasn't eligible because I didn't get toimustuki from Kela, but I did.
Yeah.
And so that they would refuse me. And at the same time, that contact of my ex-landlord, the crazy bigot guy, I kept getting my welfare turned off intermittently, so there was like months, I think I starved for most of March and April. And then part of then May into June, and then again they kept abruptly turning it off, and they tried to, whoever the landlord's friend was, they tried to freeze me out by stopping the electricity. So my electricity kept getting turned off for the landlord because Kelly were like, well, we don't Kelly were like, we can't help you with the electricity because you don't have a written contract and I was like, but I have all the evidence, the money transferred. I have the unsigned contracts. I have the previously signed contracts. I have them in the new period from September into August, requesting the rent. That shows, you know, that the contract is active. And they're like, oh, we can't do it because it's not. I said, but that's not contract law, and they kept going, but it's the law. And I was like, no, it's not. And so, using that, they started telling me that they couldn't help me, support me with the electricity, and it kept getting cut off because like they kept like freezing my money. At one point, I was told that my welfare, my illness support toimustuki was cut because the doctor, and they just said a medical doctor in Kela had looked at it and said it listed me as a writer, and so I could just write for my money, and I had to go. But it also in my B certificate says that I haven't been able to write since the second and third now illegal armed SWAT raids when the police sexually assaulted me at gunpoint.
Yeah.
And then I had to fight to get it turned on, and I realised that I'm very distressed, but it's been like a point of public humiliation, because I've had to beg in like public emails, and the social worker's been watching these for my belongings and a stop of the blockade of my affairs. It looks like she's purposefully tried to sabotage the court proceedings. I don't know how to fix that. And asked for she's threatened to destroy the deeds to my apartment, and I got someone in the UK to try and intervene, and she's allegedly posted some of them, but she refuses to do the digital and the correspondence. I don't. She's used limited powers of attorney to slander me. Like some of the legal proceedings in Ireland, she contacted one of them to say that she was withdrawing from the limited power of attorney because I was emotionally abusing her and basically trying to destroy things by defamation with uninvolved parties. And I've had to email and be like, please disregard. The police are involved, but the police are not giving me any support. I tried to get help from I'll tell you what they were called, the Pau Kung Turvakoti.
Yeah.
And that looked like it was positive, and because the lady told me that she believed there was also an element of sex trafficking in what Anna was doing to me. But then Anna revealed that she, in one of the emails, that she knew the support worker, and so there was a conflict of interest. I tried to get help.
What do you mean by that?
A conflict of interest. You know, like if Anna knows the support worker personally or previously, it's not really going to work.
Okay.
I tried getting support through Riku. Riku don't believe me.
Okay. Yeah.
Riku told me to go to my medical professional or the police. I said I've been to the police. When the police arrested me for her wellness check, they took me to hospital, and the only way I could get the police and the doctor to believe me that she was also my ex-partner was I had to show them messages on my phone on WhatsApp where she was talking about wanting to basically do oral sex on me.
Yeah.
And that's when people started going, oh, she really is your ex-partner. And I was like, yes. Why would I be asking my landlord for my personal documents back? Like, it doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah.
And
how did the police?
And the police were like, well, have you contacted Riku? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, what did Riku say? And they said, go to my medical professional and contact the police. And the guy went, oh, and did you contact the police? I mean us? Did you contact her? And I was like, dude, I was on the phone with you for an hour before you smashed my phone in, my door in. I told you so many times that I have phoned the police. I've attended the station in person. When I discovered that she was blocking medical treatment and interfering with it, I went down because I was really freaked out.
Yeah.
And the first time I went down, I got shouted at. The second time I went down, now that was on a Friday. The second time I went down, the guy was like, "Is that even a crime?" And I'm like, "Do you mean it's not? Do you mean is it just because is it a crime if it's an immigrant, or is it a crime overall?" He's like,
yeah.
"Overall," and I'm like, "Dude, it's blocking medical treatment. That's aggravated fraud." And he's like, "Oh, okay, well, yeah. You sure?" I said, "It's very definitely aggravated fraud. Do you want me to read the entry?" And he's like, "No. Anyway, we have broken radio here, so why don't you go report it at home?" Like,
Yeah.
but I was told by the police themselves to come in and make it in person.
Okay.
They're like on the phone, and he's like, "Who told you that?" And I'm like, "A guy called Jonas Rundberg." And he's like, "Oh, I don't know him." And I'm like, "What the hell is going on?" I said, "He phoned," and he's like, "Why was he phoning?" I said, "Because she filed a complaint." "Why did she file a complaint?" I'm like, "Because she said me asking for my belongings was harassment." He said, "That's not harassment." That's, yeah. I was like, "Oh Christ!" And he's like, "What did he say?" And I was like, "He told me repeatedly for an hour to come in. He begged me to come into Passila." And he says, "Well, you're here now. Is it anything urgent?" And I said, "Well, like, they have I'm going to lose all my belongings." He's like, "That's not urgent." And I'm like, "But it is." And he's like,
Yeah.
"Is there any threat to your bodily harm?" And I said, "Well, I just came in to tell you they've been blocking my medical treatment, and they're blocking an insurance case. I can't get treatment for my spine." And he's like, "That's not urgent. Yeah, you're in fear of your life right now at this." I'm like, "What's going on?" He's like, "It's best you go home."
Okay. Yeah.
And like, Riku have just basically, they think I'm making it up.
Yeah.
And I'm desperately afraid of losing the last. I fought very hard in court to preserve what little they didn't destroy.
Yeah.
And I tried Monica, and Monica directed me to Hilma.
To where?
Yeah, Hilma. It is the it's the Vamasten Manahan Utajan de Keskus.
Yeah. Yeah.
The disability for immigrants.
Mhm.
But again, that's something that Anna had power of attorney for, so I don't know what happened there, and I can remember because I was so stressed with court. But I emailed them and they told me to come to Idakeskus, and I told them that I couldn't go to Idakeskus because I didn't have any money for the train, and I was struggling with like multiple injuries and also, you know, everything, and I didn't know what. Could they phone me? They didn't phone. I phoned them, I left messages, they have ignored it.
So you didn't get anything
Didn't
back
get
from
anything
the
back from them.
Okay.
And I've struggled with the trauma and anxiety. I know I need to log into Kella and try and do it on my own at the moment, but it's just there's too much happening.
Yeah. The organization that we are working for, there is this team who is meeting with clients Monday to Friday during like work hours, and they offer like discussion help and also help with for example Kela issues and all of these, because like what I can hear that there are like so many things that have happened to you. Would you be open to maybe discuss with this team?
Yes, please. I need help.
Turvaverkko. It's like a safety net.
Yeah.
But are you like you have your apartment right now? Is your landlord, who is also your ex-partner, is she like coming in there? Or?
No, not at the moment.
Yeah.
But I am like at any moment. I'm afraid that she's going to call another wellness check. I want to just get the rent turned back on, and so that she has less of a point to argue. And also like you know, I realized that all of that was born out of crisis and argument and goading or taunting.
Okay.
And I just want to try and preserve my belongings. The social worker told me that Kella sometimes grants emergency aid for these things, but she didn't tell me for like 2 months.
Okay, yeah, that sounds really unfair.
And like I've emailed her and asked her to file it to recommend. I only found out like last week that this whole time she could have contacted the police and asked for the police to file a technical, what did they say was it called? A technical restraining order, which meant that the court could order my ex to, well, not like basically to prevent the loss of my belongings.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that.
Would you be comfortable if I leave a contact request? I can explain that if they could contact you as soon as possible, right, like early next week, because they are not working today or tomorrow. Would you be comfortable of telling your name?
Yes,
And
I'm absolutely perfectly comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, some of this has happened quite in public view, like via email between me, her colleagues. Like she has a psychology practice. I actually emailed her colleagues and went, "Can you please find a fucking peaceful way out of this?" And they just ignored it. These people are supposed to have training in communication.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like going, there's no reason for this person that's your colleague and friend to be withholding all of my things.
Yeah.
And there's no reason for you guys to be standing by and watching it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they could contact you with this phone number, or if you have email.
Yeah, phone is probably best.
Yeah. So this phone number where you called now. Yeah. And what is your name?
It's E for Echo, and then full stop, and then F for Florida. It's just two initials, EF, and then my surname is Fluff, F-L-U-F-F. I used before all the police stuff. I was an audiovisual artist, and at some point I thought it was a good idea to change my name to EF Fluff.
And what's the last name? Fluff?
Fluff.
Can you spell that again?
F-L-U-F-F, like Fluffy.
Oh, okay.
Most people just call me Fluff. Some people call me F, but it's usually just Fluff.
Yeah. So I could give them a contact request and let them know your phone number. So they would probably text you first and ask what is the time to call.
Yeah. You can put the time to call is probably after, any time after 10. I also suffer narcolepsy, so if it doesn't get picked up immediately, to ring a couple of times, because I might have just passed out.
Okay.
I don't really know. Like, it's so extensive. At Christmas, she started rewriting the loan agreement. So there was stuff that was factored in that was essential, like medical bills with methylene. And abruptly she turned around and went, "I'm taking those out because they're not important." And I'm like, "But how do I get my medication?"
Sorry?
I was like, "But how do I, what?" She's like, "So I've taken, I know you penciled these into the loan and it's there when we originally agreed, but I'm taking them out because they're not important." And I was like, "But I need to pay those so I can get my medication."
Yeah.
And she's like, "But what's going to happen? You're just going to pay them and then you'll go again and you'll have another one." I'm like,
so what type of medication?
I get medication for severe ADHD and narcolepsy, and stuff for sleep for PTSD nightmares.
Yeah.
She started, like, in public emails simultaneously doubting whether I was disabled and then weaponizing my disability. So, like, in private, continually asking me if she could be posting things, and then publicly telling people that she hadn't posted them because I'm so crippled with ADHD.
Okay.
And then and maybe a day earlier be like, "Well, you seem like you're more capable than you previously said. Maybe you're not as disabled as you said," to about 20 people. And it's... And I just don't know. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. Like, I had asked her to get help with her temper, but I was prepared to work through it, and now everything seems kind of weird and abusive.
Yeah.
Like she asked me, would I do couples therapy? And I was like, yeah, immediately I was just like, yep, I'll do that. And she just seemed surprised, and then she never raised it again. So I'm assuming she was expecting I'd say no, and then she'd have something to hassle me about. You know?
Yeah, there is a lot of things going on.
Yeah, and it's just like, and then this weird alleged patient, who I think has contacted me again since all of this started. Because I emailed the university and I was like, look, this happened and I would like this student's name because I have to file a police complaint. And someone phoned me as a lawyer and went, I'm lawyer Lowry Blah, and his name was Sari Lumo, and the name on Telegram was Lumoj, M-L, like so severe, and he was like, he wouldn't tell me which colleague, and he's asking me about the case, and he was sort of pretending to be the lawyer, and now I have no idea who told him to phone me because he's not linked to any law firm that I contacted, and it's very odd.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about the will, where she stood to earn a lot of money if I died or killed myself.
Okay.
And in context of all of our conversations as a couple and as people and stuff, she'd know that like the storage unit thing would destroy me. And she admitted in SMS that she did it on purpose. So essentially what she's admitting is at Christmas she tried to drive a PTSD crisis like a tractor and went silent for 10 days waiting to see would I kill myself.
Okay, yeah. And do you still have the text where she's admitting it?
Yeah, she just like it's very blasé. She's just like, oh yeah, I'll admit that I did that on purpose.
Okay, yeah.
And she doesn't really have to say I did that on purpose to get you the case. It's just like, yeah, I did that on purpose. And I'm just going like, cause she'd know. I mean, she'd falsely misrepresent meeting me.
Yeah.
Like she'd meet me and in private she'd tell me that there would be no discussion of money, and I'd be like, but what about the loan? We had a loan agreement, and she'd be like, no, we didn't. I was just helping you.
Oh, okay.
And I'd be like, but if you were just helping me, why was I transferring all my welfare to you?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly what I had to say. The cop was like, oh, so she was just helping you. That's what she's told us. And he's like, dude, she's lied to you. Like, he's like, I said, is it a crime to lie to a cop? And he's like, well, it's a crime to lie, to make a false complaint. And I was like, well, then it's a crime, because why would I have bank statements saying I transferred all my money to her?
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like, oh, okay. Can you show them? And I was like, yeah, obviously, I wouldn't be saying I had them. That would be used to be me lying in an investigation. I'm the only one telling the truth. Like, it's just, and the weekend has just been hell. I'm like, I have to beg friends in different countries to get me a sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
I tried phoning the emergency welfare, and I really don't mean this to sound like I have persecution complex, but they never have helped me.
Yeah.
And they have, like,
I'm sorry to hear that.
One of the times I phoned them when the person that was seems to be connected to my landlord was getting my welfare shut off for nonsense reasons. Like, I have a very extensive B certificate for illness leave, and like people who are in social work and medical and mental health have commented that it's one of the most extensive B certificates they've ever seen.
Yeah.
And so you know, when stuff would be getting cut off, and Kella would be blocking my recovery plan, I'd phone the emergency welfare line to see would they help me with food, and that they kind of sometimes laugh at me or tell me that like I was ungrateful.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And like I phoned them about 2 weeks ago. I hadn't eaten in 5 days. And
right now you haven't been?
No, it was about 5 days ago. I at the moment I'm managing to eat maybe once a day or once every 2 days.
Okay. Yeah.
Sometimes every 3 days.
Okay.
And I had phoned them, and I think it had been about 5 days, maybe 4.5. And I was explaining the situation, and she kind of started chuckling. And she just told me to wait. This was on Saturday, and she just told me to, go to Calisat on Monday. I was like, well, what do I do between then and now? She's like, what do you expect us to do for you? And I was like, I found you again on the Helsinki website. It says you do emergency food with an emergency money. She said, but not for you.
If you would be fine, I could text you to your phone number. There is some option to get the food assistance tomorrow from for lunch and then dinner from 2 different places.
Okay, that would be great.
Yeah, I could text you the times and the addresses.
Yeah.
There are 2 options for Sunday, and then I could also put something for next week. Yeah, because usually I understand what you said about the Kela and everything that has happened there. But usually they could give those emergency support. That people could buy food.
Yeah, they refused it every time. And the only time I actually managed to get food out of them was back in April. When one of them told me I was basically ungrateful or was rude, and
and I think the team that I would refer you to, that they could help you with the Kela situation and different applications, and looking into more in depth of the situation, what has happened and everything.
Yeah, I have no idea why they have refused the disability.
Yeah.
I have 4 spine injuries.
Yeah, exactly. They could help to see if there is some kind of attachments that the Kela would want to see, because sometimes they request all the additional information and everything, and so they could help to see what they would need, because usually the Kela is the place where you would get the support. So
yeah, Kela, at some point someone has changed my files.
Yeah.
So there's stuff missing from a couple of years ago that's not there, which is another point of abuse from my ex, Hanna. She started going, are you sure that happened? And I was like, yeah, the documents are in the storage unit in Ireland. I know it happened, because my social worker at the time asked me could she take a photocopy of one of the letters, and I asked her why, and she said she wanted to frame it because she'd never in her entire career seen Kela apologize to anybody and stuff. And and then at one point last year, I was getting one thing they would do is they would either freeze my money or they'd freeze it for a few weeks, then release some of it, and then deduct what they'd released from the previous. So sometimes I would literally be running on this, only have 40 a month. And I was talking to and the person went, so it says here that you own an apartment block. And I was like, what? And he's like apartment, a building. And I was like, why would I be arguing with you over peanuts if I owned a whole entire apartment building in the hottest property market in Europe?
Yeah.
I said I'd probably be on a beach somewhere. And he was like, well, that's a good point. I said, can you tell me who put that into my file? And he's like, no. And I was like, why is it in, how long has it been in? He said, well, I think it's only recent. And I was like, well, he's like, maybe a couple of months, maybe 3 or 4 months. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And I know that this sounds very unbelievable, and you can probably see how when I try and talk to support people, they're like, oh, this is just some sort of psychosis and none of this is real. Which is why I had to record all the calls with like legal aid and Anna and Kella, because I like it got too weird.
Yeah, but would it be okay with you if I give your
Yes,
phone number
everything,
and name?
my name, yeah, and phone number, everything, whatever gets me help.
Yeah, and I can ask them to, if it's possible for them to contact you on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, so if we continue with that plan, and I will text you about the places where you could get lunch tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. I don't have any travel tickets, so I if it's very far away from camping, I can't.
So did you say, so you said that you live close to Kamppi?
Yeah.
Yes. So tomorrow the lunch place is actually close to Kamppi. It's in Annankatu, so it's probably accessible by walking.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, I can text you the like specific address and the name of the place.
Is this common? Is there like, is this sort of abuse common?
Sorry?
Is this sort of abuse common? Like, does it happen to other people?
To what kind of abuse?
Is this what I've described by my partner, my ex-partner?
Yeah, unfortunately, all the different forms of abuse, it's kind of common from ex-partner, and you're describing like many situations, and also like some of the situations that you're describing from police and all of those things also seem to be very unfortunate situations. So yeah.
But the partner abuse, this does happen. This isn't just me being.
Oh yeah, it does happen. Yeah. It's actually very common violation that is happening here in Finland and also like in other countries. So yeah, you are not the only one.
Okay, it's just felt very isolating because I tried to, like they've managed to destroy my social circle.
Yeah.
They've wrapped me up in so much levels of messed up. Like, instead of helping me, on one hand they said they'd only send money to an account if it was for an e-learning website that they wanted me to build, but I didn't have a working website, working laptop, because the police have destroyed all of them. So then they agreed to a loan to get a laptop, then they refused. So then the website became a point of abuse, even though they knew that I couldn't work on it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I could even show Kella that money that went directly to a storage unit, because I'm afraid now, and I don't know whether that was a point of keeping me, controlled, because if I speak up, then they get me in trouble. I didn't realize until later, and
it's very common if you experience that type of like mental abuse that you feel the isolation and you start to second guess your experiences. very common.
Yeah, so what they did was, they were going through a divorce. I thought the divorce was over, and it turns out that they lied. I didn't get finalised until like October. So for a year I thought their finished divorce was finalised, and the only thing that had to be done was the Colombian divorce.
Okay.
And I'm like, this is all quite confusing. But I organised a photography. There was a place I went to, a late bar in Helsinki, because it felt safe, and I would just sit there and nurse like a bottle of beer, because I would work all day on the legal papers, and then I would go there to try and not have like PTSD horrors. And one of the bartenders there, a guy called Ricardo, he was a photographer. He had money trouble, so I tried to help him, and I organised him to be the photographer for her website.
Okay.
And then I didn't realise that they knew each other. And apparently their families had known each other. He did the photography session, and then she started using him to abuse me. She was, like, Ricardo says you're incompetent, you don't know what you're talking about. Ricardo says this, Ricardo says that. So, like, this was quite distressing. So, and I figured out the easiest way to deal with this was to ask him. But he reacted really violently.
Okay.
And he got very aggressive in WhatsApp message, and I was like, at the point that this was going on, she was threatening to take me to court, because I was telling, she was preemptively threatening me with court, and I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about, because if we go to court, the judge is just going to go, why are you doing this? I said, trust me, I've been in court, and it's very difficult for you to show that you haven't committed conduct. But she was threatening court, all these fraudulent threats. And I told him that if it went forward, because she brought it to court, that he'd probably have to be a witness. And he denied saying anything, and then he got very aggressive. He then, kind of behind my back, he went to the managers of the place, the only place in all of Helsinki I went to, and lied to them and told them he was scared of me, told them this big bullshit lie about her. And so I arrived, and they were going to ban me, and I had to very frantically show them text messages, explain. The following day, I went there, and he was waiting for me, and he sat and he waited all night, and then at the end of the night he came up and he smiling as if to shake my hand. I paid him no attention, and he pulled me violently into him, and he threatened me about how, I might have got away with it this time, but I would always be barred when he was working, and I'd never get served, I'd never get a drink as long as he was and I was like, what the fuck? And he left, and the bartender that was on was like, I told him not to do that.
Yeah.
So I had to send a cease and desist, and it didn't stop, and then he had the staff publicly humiliate me. I arrived one evening, and I was given one, like the old submarine captain thing, and I just, but then everyone kind of blanked me and refused to serve me for two hours. And I was like, what the fuck? One of them came from behind the bar and very loudly told me that I wasn't to come back due to the people not being happy with what happened with Ricardo, and the numbers, and very loud. People were looking, like, it was so loud that a random customer was watching it, and they turned around and they went, here, you can have my drink. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, and they were like, you can come back when it blows over. And I'm going, man, the thing has gone to the police.
Yeah.
It can't blow over now. And they went, well, and they just shrugged at me, and I had to leave. And now that has completely isolated me, and I've asked for help from people attached to that social circle, and I've been told that I'm a drama queen for wanting help with the abuse. Suddenly people are giving out to me because I said I had phone recordings of my abuser, how else would you get evidence?
Yeah, that's true.
And I've literally now don't see anyone.
Yeah.
I used to go there for maybe either a glass of water or a cup of coffee every night, and sometimes a bottle of Heineken or two, and then now I spoke. I had a large group of people that I talked to, and now I see nobody. And all of the people I've asked for help have either refused or ghosted me.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry to hear that.
I don't know if that's common. While I've experienced abuse before, I've never. This is the first time I've asked for help.
Yeah.
I've usually just run away.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, it's really horrific that there's just nothing. Even the doctor in the hospital, when the cops didn't really believe, and I had to show the screenshots, and he kind of leaned in and he was like, "Don't worry, you'll be going home. I just have to go through the motions and ask you the questions." And I was like, "Phew, okay."
Oh, yeah.
You know, and then he was like, "Have you tried Rico?" And I was like, "Were you not in the room when I got asked that by both of the cops, one after the other?" He's like, "Yeah, well, have you tried?" And I explained again. He's like, "You have to try and get support." And I went, "There's not really much there for an immigrant." And he went, "Yeah, I know." And I was like, he said, and he was like, I know how, like, how bad it is." And I was like I filed a police complaint. They're ignoring them.
Yeah.
And it's like being trapped in a mirror or something.
Yeah. Yeah, there are so many things.
I'm sorry, this is the first time I've really got to talk about it where someone hasn't been telling me I'm making it up.
Oh, yeah, I understand that. Of course, like, everybody would want to talk if all of those things would have happened to them.
Yeah, I mean, I begged this person for a break because I was like, look, they want to do surgery. There's no way I can heal a hand surgery if this is happening.
Yeah,
I have
all of it going
on.
I
said, like, there's no way. They want 6 weeks with an open wound with like 6 screws in my thumb, and then 6 weeks healing that. I was like, please, can you just do the documents, the data transfer, and then like structured withdrawal, like I've asked for months, and they just treated it like it was an abusive joke.
Yeah.
And I've asked the professional body of the psychologist governance body. I've asked them for help.
Yeah.
And it's just everybody seems to just want to like look at their shoes. And I don't know if this is a characteristic of people of a higher station, like doctors, psychologists, police officers. Does everybody just ignore when someone else says they're doing something bad?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it's really like almost like having no mouth. And I don't know, and I'm sorry for babbling so long. You probably have.
Yeah, but does the plan sound good with you?
That plan
I would
sounds
send
great.
you the text and then put the contact request for you.
Yeah. And does that mean that they will put a concern in with welfare as well, or did they wait and see, or?
Were you asking if they would report the welfare concern?
Yeah, like I just like, and if I don't know.
Well, not like automatically or necessarily like the officials in social work. I think they have to do it if there is a concern, but I think this team is always focusing on the violence. So I think the support that you could get the help from there is to talk about the violence that you have experienced, and then maybe to help with the get the Gela applications and things sorted out, so you could get them the help, the financial help for food and all of these things.
That would be amazing. It would really be amazing. And just do they help with any way of navigating a lawyer?
They usually, I think they discuss the situations, but usually what they do is to refer to oikeusapu.
Yeah, I'm banned from there.
Okay.
That judge, the corrupt judge. I mean, it sounds like something like a bloody movie, but it's like some weird, horrible Agatha Christie comedy. But
because then I think because I don't know exactly what other options there would be for like lawyers. Because oikeusapu can help you to get a lawyer if you don't have income or like money. But I think they could also look into those things, that what would be the options there, even though the team is not like, they're not lawyers themselves, but they are social counselors.
Okay. Thank you. I think that's great, and thanks for listening to me.
Yeah, of course. And yeah. So,
what was your name?
Jenny.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a very good night. Thank you.
Yeah, and I will text you the lunch option for tomorrow, close to Kamppi.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yes. Okay.
Have a lovely evening. Thank you.
Yes, you too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.